Hello, welcome to this short video on the assignment task for the Risk Management Unit in the Diploma of Management. That's BSBRSK501B, and it's called Manage Risk. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But there's a fair bit involved. So I'm just going to go straight into the task. This is assuming you've gone through the learning resources that are available on vCampus, including the templates and other resources that are there apart from just the learning chapters. If you have the textbook, chapter 22, have a look through that. Also the summary, the PowerPoint summary of that chapter is on vCampus. So once you've done all your reviews, then obviously you're going to get into this assignment. Split it into two parts, that's part A and part B. Someone is making faces at me through the window, that's why I'm smiling now, but I'm putting up with that, as a true professional should. So part A, number one, name and briefly describe the international standard for risk management. So this standard is ISO 31000. From the PowerPoint you'll see that this is a summary of that standard in pictorial form. If you want to include that graphic or something similar to that, I'd be happy to see that with some notes to clarify it. But I don't want you to go through the whole standard. I mean, it'd be good if you can go through it roughly. But get a feeling for what it's all about and tell me about why it's there and the intent of it using the contents page basically at the front. And if you use that diagram, just explain how that shows the process. Okay, so that's the beginning. Number two, briefly describe the areas of operation within your organisation, noting the major risk context for each area. So if you have a service provision area, a manufacturing area, a customer sales area, any area of the business admin, there'll be areas of the business that will have different contexts for risk. So some we do with human risk, some we do with economic risk, financial risk, compliance, human resources, that sort of stuff. So I just want to see where the major risks for each area of operation are. Just a very short description will be fine. Number three then. List and briefly describe the aspects of legislation or ethical practice that may apply to the use of risk management practices. So include those relating to privacy, anti-discrimination, work health and safety, codes of practice, environmental protection, employee relations or industrial relations if you like, and business operations, which you probably covered in question 2 already. But now I don't want you to actually give me all the detail of all of those acts and codes of practice that you might find, just the main effect of them. So anti-discrimination obviously is we don't discriminate against race or ethnic grounds or gender or sexual orientation, all of those things that are listed. And that's pretty important that whatever risk management processes we have aren't all written in English. Say if we've got half of our working population who speak a different language, that wouldn't be all that good, would it? Yeah, so that's just the discriminatory aspects of what we might do around risk management. The work health and safety one is fairly plain and clear, I hope, with duty of care, that sort of thing. Privacy to do with confidentiality. Environmental protection, once again a legal requirement, but we're trying to limit detrimental effects on the environment. So industrial relations, that's I guess from the days of work choices that became a real risk in a political environment. But in these days under the Fair Work Act there are still things under the employee relations that may present risk to an organisation, and you can discuss them here. All right, so just a brief summary. I don't need lots and lots of writing there, just enough to show you have enough information that you could be aware of the requirements of those legal processes. Number 4, define the meaning of duty of care as it relates to work health and safety. So that's a formal definition, but I'm happy for a summarised one if you wish. If you've done the work health and safety unit, you'll know this off by heart anyway, no doubt. But anyway, I just need to know that you know about duty of care. So this does apply in other, what's called due diligence more when it comes to legal and financial compliance, but it's still the same idea. Number 5, list and briefly describe the relevant organisational policies, procedures and templates that may relate to or include risk management activities. So if you've already got a risk register at work, obviously we can talk about that. If there's a risk plan, risk management plan or a policy, that'd be even better. But if they're not there, I still need you to seek out, okay, which things apply to risk management here. So the policies relating to casual staff, they apply to risk management, don't they? That's to do with replacing people, keeping the service going, that sort of stuff. So, yeah, anything you can think of there to just show that you can think beyond. If it doesn't say risk management, it doesn't mean it's not to do with risk management. I need to see that you understand risk management as it applies, whether there's a policy or not. Number 6 then, list the types of insurance policies held by your organisation. So you might need to do a bit of research to find out what those are. And nominate any areas not covered by insurance. Also nominate any new cover or insurance policies that may be available for these areas that are not currently covered. So that's a quick scan of insurance policies, and maybe talk to the broker and just find out what else is available. So insurance that's where we transfer risk to someone else, isn't it? We pay a big premium, transfer the risk, and other people will pay if something goes wrong. So it's a big part of this unit at the diploma level. Okay, moving on to part B now. This is where you get to show me that you can manage risk, just the way it says in the unit. And there are 3 tasks here, tasks A, B and C. Task A then is develop or review and evaluate against best practice, so that'd be the standards, ISO 31000, the risk management policy for your organisation. So if you haven't got one, I'd like you to develop a short policy. If you look at the example templates that are on the B campus, there is a short policy in there that you could probably use and modify to suit your circumstance or your business. But as you do this evaluation or development, consider the scope of the risk management policy and include the consideration of the political, economic, social, legal and the technological aspects relevant to the organisation. So that's almost a pest analysis, isn't it? So in other words, within the scope, how do we monitor the changes in those environments? And that should be part of the risk. That's the first step, isn't it? Identifying risks. We need to monitor those things. And the second dot point, goals and the critical success factors, or any KPIs or key performance measures of the policy. So we should have something in there that we can strive for if it's not there already. So rather than just saying this is an overarching policy, we need to say, okay, this is what success would look like if we fully implemented this policy and all of the standards and templates and procedures that might go with it. Hopefully doesn't sound as bad as I think I just sounded when I said it, but I'm not looking for lots and lots of work there, but certainly a policy that shows the scope, shows how you'll keep up to date with risk, and has some goals within it. Number 2, then, develop or review and evaluate again a risk management plan. So once again, there's an example in the example folder on the campus of a plan that even includes templates and a few other details. So you can use that as the basis of a plan if you wish, but also you can obviously free to start one from scratch, just using the standard as the guideline. We need to note, though, the identification of the internal and external stakeholders and their interests and influence regarding the risk management process. So stakeholders, anyone who has an interest in or is affected by our business, that's a stakeholder. Internal, obviously internal customers, people who work with us. External, people who supply, who are customers and pay us money, are generally external, or government agencies would be external. So that sort of thing we want to look at. And what's the second dot point? Strategies to communicate, obtain support and involvement in the risk management processes. So a very important part of the standard, isn't it? The communicate and consult. So not just tell people, actually have them involved. The more stakeholders are involved, the better your risk management processes will be. That's for sure. Okay, so we'll move on from the plan on to task B now. Using the risk identification assessment tools that research risks that are within the scope of your risk management plan or policy. Ensure that you cover the various contexts of risks that apply, including those outside of work health and safety. So that could be legal, compliance, financial, staffing risks, human resource sort of stuff, the political environment, even the market that you're involved with, things like that. So we need to show your workings about identifying these risks and discuss the communication and involvement processes used to design a risk register that includes, but is not limited to, the risk name and number, the likelihood of the risk occurring, the impact, or that's sometimes called the probability, the impact or consequence of if the risk occurs, the risk assessment category and priority. So we need to think about our appetite for risk. So those at the workshop will remember, if we're about business growth, we've probably got a reasonable appetite for risk in business growth, because that's going to assure our future. But it's to do with work health and safety, the safety of our people and our customers, then we'd have a very, very low risk appetite for that, because we want to keep people safe, we want to comply with the law. And once again, in the example documents, there's an example risk appetite document. Will give you an idea how you sort of might work out the appetite for risk. The most appropriate treatment plans or controls with costing, the person responsible and the timeline, so a proper plan that might treat some of these risks if they're too high. And the idea of costing is to show that, there's a bit of a way up of the cost versus the benefit. So an example of this, I suppose, in the simplest terms, is this education department one that you can grab from vCampus. So it's an example one for excursions. It's got the risk here, it's got all the risk assessments and the controls in place, exactly like we've been asked here. The other thing is it has the risk matrix, which has the likelihood and the consequence in a table, so you can do your risk assessments just as the assignment was asking you to do, under the various categories for the risk. So not all work health and safety, they can be to do with other areas as well. Another good thing on this document is a little summary of risk management, which includes that little table showing you the processes and the communication, consultation and monitoring and review aspects that are very important in risk management. Number 2 in task B then is develop at least 3 complete treat action plans, one for each area of your risk management scope. So one from each different area, so not all work health and safety, not all to do with legal compliance, so one from at least 3 areas. And describe how these will be implemented, monitored, communicated and evaluated. Pretty easy to say in a sentence, but pretty important also. So once again, that can be in a table if you wish, but you can discuss it as well in a short essay if you want to do it that way. Task C then, discuss the value of risk management as a contemporary management tool and describe an effective process to review risk management policies, plans and procedures. So in task B, you're asked to evaluate and review the actual treatment plans, but now in task C, we're saying, okay, evaluate and review the whole lot, the whole kit and caboodle, if you like, to do with risk management. And when it says discuss, that means a short essay, basically. So just think about, okay, contemporary management, what does that mean? Yeah, well, that's the modern way we manage businesses. In other words, there's participative management. We value what people have in a way of input and suggestions. We probably document those. And risk management, there's a fair bit of emphasis you can probably see on the documentation, but it's still a culture that we're trying to develop. So is it valuable in developing that sort of customer service, continuous improvement type culture? And hopefully you'll see that it is. Anyway, once you've finished all that, you'll have shown me that you are quite competent at managing risk. So I wish you well with the assignments, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.